everybody. Welcome back to Tech Sheck, continuing to bring you interesting, unique stories from the Pakistan tech startup ecosystem. And today we have with us Mr. Qasif Shahid from Finja. Welcome, Qasif. Thank you for being on Tech Sheck today.
Thank you for having me, Farooq.
Pleasure. And as we do in Tech Sheck style, we're going to jump right in, Qasif. Tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about Finja.
I'm the co-founder and the operating CEO for Finja. Finja is Pakistan's largest digital lending platform, and we have a special focus on what we call the FMCG supply chain, and within that the distributors, the wholesalers, and especially the mom and pop stores or the Kirana stores. And along with that, we also do lending to corporates and the professionals that these corporates employ.
Very, very cool. And just to get into that a little further, I think for the audience who may not necessarily understand how Pakistan environment works that way, what does that entail specifically? Can you give us some examples?
Yeah. So, the thing is that, Pakistan is now the fifth largest country in the world, but it's one of the least lend countries in the world as well. So
right.
There are only 180,000 SME loans which are outstanding, and Finja has done 10,000 out of them.
Wow.
There are only 2% employed people have access to formal lending. In the US, the number is 80%. And, the way, so the glass is all empty. And you know what, until and unless you take digital credit in the post-pandemic world to these small businesses and individuals, the economy would not grow. So what's happening is that, entities like Finja have assets in terms of these new age licenses that the regulators have come up with. And Finja has multiple licenses. One license, which is called EMI, allows us to take deposit. The other license, which is a NBFC, a non-banking finance corporation under the SCCP, allows us to lend. And the combination of these licenses allow us to operate like a digital bank, which means that we can go out and lend, score and lend and collect and lend back to any individual or business in the country without any dependence on a bank. But because we have these new breed of licenses, we don't compete with the banks, and we are becoming enablers to them. So what that means is that, we are using multiple banks' credit books as their partners to go out and make this lending, but we do all the work. And the licenses allow us to, control our own destiny. That's the real reason of our success.
Very, very cool. And how do you qualify people for the credit? What are those data points?
Yeah. Now, that's a great question. Now, in Pakistan, even today, whatever is being sold in the retail stores are all in cash.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever the retail stores are buying upstream from their suppliers is documented and digitized. So what Finja does is that it gets its data from the FMCGs like the Unilevers of the world and the distributors of whatever the small stores are buying. And then we put our AI and machine learning algorithms on them. We go visit those people. We create a 360-degree on them, and then we disperse credit to them. But the beauty is that they can only use that credit to buy upstream. So it's credit with end use monitored. And, that's really beautiful because that ensures that you can't do any harm to your users, and the relationship between Finja credit and the increase in sales becomes transparent. And now we can see that every time when we take credit to these small stores, their sales increase 30 to 40%, which is substantial.
Very, very interesting. So essentially what's happening is you're enabling the storekeepers to buy more goods, which then they obviously sell through. And because you have a view on how they're purchasing and what they're purchasing, you can better manage collection capability. Is that a correct assessment?
Yes, it essentially, Farooq, it's a you're familiar with this term, buy now, pay later, but it's a buy now, pay later focused on the businesses with the end use monitored.
Gotcha.
And why we could do it before anybody else is that essentially we are a capital packaging company, right? So what we are doing is packaging small amounts of capital, and then we are dispersing this capital to the Karyana stores for a week, for 2 weeks, for 1 month, and then we have the ability to collect that back, and then the store goes out and reclaims it again, and nobody could really do it earlier because it requires technology, it requires capital, it requires these licenses and your ability to take risk and re-engineer processes and business models. So now armed with these new tools, we can actually go really down to these small stores that nobody could reach to earlier.
Understood. Very, very cool. No, this is great. And I'm sure the $1 million question that's going to come from diaspora. What's the revenue model for you?
Yeah. Look, I mean, always remember that if you're the first one to arrive downstream and you're first one to fish at a spot, then you can charge a price for it. So these loans are priced at 2.5%. These credit lines are monthly. But the thing is that these stores actually make 25 to 30% monthly, because what's happening is that they're buying every 10 days. And every time when they buy, they make 5 to 10%. Sometimes they make more money when there is no price on the. So what's happening is that we are becoming partners in their business, and we give them capital to purchase more. And then when they make the profit from it, they come back and pay us a smaller amount. Now, when we give them capital, they can actually go and bulk purchase, and then they can get discounts as well. So in Urdu, it would be called, कि जो नफा आप बना रहे हैं, उस नफे में से आप फिंजा को चीज वापस कर रहे हैं. And the beauty is that we've gone in and created these on Islamic principles now, not just because Islam sells, but the fact that this Islamic play here is creating the next level of transparency. If you give me 1 minute, I'll explain to you that when we work with a store, we make him our agent, and he buys on behalf of Finja. Now, when he's buying on behalf of Finja from the distributor, he knows the cost at which he's procuring stuff on behalf of Finja. He already knows what he's going to sell on, and he knows what he is going to return to Finja. That all cards are on the table. This level of transparency does not exist anywhere in the FMCG supply chain, meaning the Unilevers are not telling you the cost price of a toothpaste when they sell to the distributor, and neither is Karyana sharing that with the client. But when you work with a Finja model turned Islamic, then it creates that transparency, which creates that trust.
Very, very interesting. That's pretty cool. And as far as what I've seen now, this seems to be a very quickly growing space. What does the competitive landscape look like?
Yeah. Look, I mean, we got to understand that the global health crisis is the ultimate black swan. It has granted a passageway to fintechs and startups, not just in Pakistan, but anywhere, to go to the SMEs and to the individual users, because the SMEs have realized that they cannot operate in the new world order if their payments are collections and payments and disbursements are not digitized. Similarly, the individual has realized that they don't want to deal in cash. The problem is that the incumbent banks are failing to fill that void, and they have serious structural issues, right? And the fintech, especially the ones that have licenses, are coming between the banks and these businesses and individuals to fill that void. So these are early days, and it's greenfield, and the country is so large and so little work has happened that, quite frankly, the competition is really in your mind. It's all open, really, very early days, and very few digital lending activities going on. But 2 years to election, and I think that we would see lots of action, in these 2 years now in lending.
Very, very interesting. Wonderful. This is a really great breakdown, and I appreciate you providing this level of detail. I think our audience will also appreciate this, because it is a very interesting and unique sector that we find in Pakistan. And I've actually been engaged in it in the past. So I was part of a team that helped start 3M consumer operations in Pakistan. So on a personal note, I find this very interesting. Last question. What can the diaspora do to help?
Look, I mean, this is the time where the diaspora needs to consider to invest in Pakistan or move back to Pakistan if they have a certain level of competency and self-belief. These are early days. It's not easy to go out and build companies that would scale in the early days, and people with exposure, people, with the kind of skills that some of our diaspora have are required to come in and build on top of the kind of platforms that Finja is building. So the first generation of work has already happened. Everything is on a platform design now. And the second generation of companies can come in and create their value propositions on top of these platforms. The banks are opening up, all incumbents are opening up, the regulators are doing great work. And if you are multicultural and you have a certain level of competency, you got to bring your money here, or better bring yourself here and impact hundreds and thousands of lives. That's a real consideration now. I would really appeal to people who think they can do a 0 to 1, to consider coming here.
That's a great set of insights, and I think it's something we're definitely starting to see here, particularly amongst the younger lot. So we have I've seen a lot of young, what I would call the reverse brain flight, right? So a lot of young Pakistanis now realizing there are capabilities for them back home, and they're doing it, and we're seeing it every day, as you have, right? So many of these young, bright people coming back and starting companies. But I really, I think this has been a wonderful session. We're coming to the end of our time. Qasif, I really appreciate you coming on. This is an awesome opportunity for us to learn a little more about what's actually going on inside of that world. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you for having me, Farooq. See you again.
You're very welcome. Yes, we definitely will be seeing you again. And to our audience, thank you very much for supporting TechSheck. We've crossed 90 episodes. This shows you, look at the depth and breadth of talent we have in Pakistan. Let's keep accentuating the positive. The negative's always going to be there, but let's focus on what's working well. Let's make sure that we continue supporting the country. And I ask you to continue supporting TechSheck. Continue to like, share, and subscribe what we're doing. And with that, I bid you all Allah Hafiz.